All right, so there's a little bit of a lag, but we're on. We're live.
Cool.
All right, we had some technical difficulties. It took us about a half hour to figure out how to patch that. Apparently, there's a firewall issue. So we're here with Seth from Vanguard, and very popular picture that's been surfing around the LARP community with your wolf.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, we're going to jump right in. Tell us a little bit about Vanguard.
Vanguard's, we play in the mountains of North Carolina near Lenore. It's an Arcano-punk fantasy fusion style game, which is a little different from most out there. Hang on, let me get it from a different screen because I'm seeing myself on a loop and it's throwing me off. But yeah, we're an Arcano-punk fantasy fusion game, which is a little unusual for a LARP. You don't really see a whole lot of that. At least I haven't. But we've got everything from people with Nerf guns out there doing the gunslinger thing to fully armored, traditional style fantasy role players. It's very diverse group, very interesting. A lot of, it's one of those kind of systems where if you want to do it, you can. There's not really any limitations, except what you can imagine, I guess is the cliche way to say it, but it's pretty cool.
Cool. So it's kind of like, I don't know if you ever played that game Shadowrun, where you're running through and you can like shoot a pistol and then throw a fireball or whatever at the same time.
Yeah, like a medieval version of Shadowrun. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah.
Where are you located? Where?
It's Western North Carolina. Lenore is kind of the biggest little city around it, but kind of halfway between, say, Hickory and Asheville. About 30, 40 minutes outside Hickory.
Right on.
We play at that's actually a Girl Scout camp in the mountains up there. They have heat in the cabins, which is amazing, especially for the winter.
I'm trying to picture like a mountain range, or is it just like hilly, or?
Oh no, it's straight up on a mountain. Like anywhere you go, it's climbing uphill both ways. But no, it is on the side of a mountain, and like the kind of it's not like it's in the middle of a city park or something like that. It's when you go up there, you're all you see is the mountains and the camp itself. So it's very cool setting.
That's pretty neat. So it's kind of a very Skyrim.
Yeah.
Skyrim feel to it. And everybody was like, wow, these mountains are beautiful. And then, like, you're going to make me run up and down these hills all day?
It's a good workout. It's a really good workout.
Oh, yeah. That doesn't at all sound like a LARP that I'm familiar with. All right. Let's go run around on some mountains.
Hey, you definitely feel your money's worth as far as, getting to sleep afterwards.
Right. Okay. That's pretty neat. Okay, and then you say it's cabins. Is there camping allowed as well, or?
Well, we haven't actually gotten to the point where we need to do camping. I think people have slept out in like hammocks and things on occasion, but there's plenty of cabins for everybody so far. If it got to the point where we just didn't have enough space in the cabins, I'm sure they'd figure something out with camping. But
yeah, so you guys are LARPing in luxury.
Yeah, kind of.
Next, you'll tell me there's flush toilets.
Yeah. There are flush toilets, yeah.
Okay, cool. So
Showers.
Vanguard's got a great location if anybody wants to play.
It's pretty amazing. It's an awesome location. We're really lucky to have that available to us.
All right. So let's jump right into it, Seth. The reason we're having this little interview is to go over your kit. It's very nice. It's like a showstopper. So let's just go over some of the things like you were telling me about your mask and how you ventilate it and how you put it together. And
yeah, so
you got that with you there.
Yeah. So yeah, this is where I get in then. That's the guy. I've been working on this for I don't know the better part of 4 years. About just kind of getting things. When I started doing this kind of thing, I really didn't know what I was getting into. I didn't know how to sew or anything, but it's been a long process of kind of figuring things out, and I'm pleased with the results, and I'm really excited for the opportunity to rebuild it and make it better. Here, not too long. Yeah, but like I said, it's got a working jaws that helps with heat a lot. It can kind of open it. But there's a fan built into the nose there. I don't know if you might be able to see it, but you kind of see the wiring at least. I don't think it's going to be
air.
But yeah, definitely the fan's a lifesaver. Or it'll get super stuffy in there. But
okay, so runs on obviously 9 volts from what I saw.
Mhm.
And you got a little computer fan running. It's breathing, like you got fresh air coming in, and your jaw's articulated so you can chomp down around you.
It helps with like I said, when I open my jaw, it opens, kind of bobs up and down a little bit, so it kind of helps with the illusion, I guess, make it seem a little more realistic. And then also, if it gets really hot in there, I can just kind of prop it open or shove a water bottle down the maw.
Right.
And then I've got that. Got boots that I've made that and it's built onto a mid-calf combat boot. It just goes down
a nail on there too. You put some
What's
nails
up?
On. There's like a.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they keep wanting to pop free, but yeah, they're just plastic Tandy leather talons.
Okay.
They
Where'd you get
work out pretty well. Hobby Lobby, actually.
Hobby
Lobby. They've got they don't have a huge selection, but they've got a pretty nice, and one that worked for me at least.
Right. And the rest of your kit, there was like a quilted underlayer and a leather, I'd say armor chest piece.
Oh, it's steel.
It's steel?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is this painted?
No, it's just steel.
Pull that picture up. There you go.
Yeah, let me grab the gamers. Yeah. This. Oh crap. For some reason my light's not want to stay on, but no, this is the quilted padded undergarment. It's just it's called a gambizon.
Right.
Yeah, wear it under the steel to keep the plates from binding. It adds a lot of heat, but it's pretty essential.
Yeah, but come wintertime, you're not cold.
Oh, in the winter, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
In the winter, the whole thing's fantastic. We're just gonna go without them. Okay. It's been fun, yeah. Oh. And everything, pretty much everything with the costume and the kit is a homemade, except for the the armor and the gamazine. I don't have any clue on how to do that. Be cool, but not at this point. But everything else is, found tutorials and guides and some inspiration online, that sort of thing. But everything else is just a lot of trial and error. A lot of trial and error and some goodwill.
Yeah, and then you got your new one coming out, which is all 3D printed.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that. It's a new base. Like this one that's on here is resin. So it's like it's pretty hard. It's, durable. I've dropped this thing. It's been hit, countless times, but it's heavy. It's very dense. So there's not any kind of breathability to it. Plus it's rigid. So if anything does, like if it got stepped on or something like that, which hasn't yet in 4 years, which is really, lucky. But if it did get stepped on or something like that, it would shatter and be useless. The one I'm getting is 3D printed, which wasn't available when I got this one. But I'm really excited to see how that's gonna turn out, because it's gonna be a lot lighter, flexible. It's actually got ventilation and it's got holes drilled all throughout, so it's gonna be a lot more ventilated there. And I'll be working on that over the next while, so I'll probably post some pictures around just of progress.
So we got a question from Devin.
Yeah.
How does your kit wear when traveling up and down hills, and how heavy is it?
Well, the weight kind of depends on how much I've been sweating. Starting out, the gammas and the armor is about 40 pounds. Plus, boots, fur, all that stuff. I'm probably carrying a good 45 pounds or so when I leave the cabin. As I'm running around and sweating and everything, it just starts to soak up, and it gets heavy. It does. I actually wear a weightlifting belt underneath all the armor and everything. Helps to keep my back from just crushing in on itself. But I make it up the hills, so I'm not. Yeah.
So Seth, after you've been running around up and down the hills, what's the pieces that you lose first?
The head kind of comes off first. It's the easiest one to pop. So just to kind of get some fresh air and all. And sometimes if I've been fighting for a while, I'll pop the top and fight headless for a bit, just to get some breathe, get some air into me. But once it kind of goes on, there's no real getting it off easily, so it stays until I have to peel everything out.
So when the helmet comes off, there you have like a emergency backup paint kit just in case. Like just gonna spray on some brown. And
That's a good idea. I usually just usually when it comes off, it's in the middle of a fight, so I don't have time to do anything like that anyway. But I try not to take it off for long. But it happens sometimes, especially in the summer.
All right. Jeremiah has a question. How does your overall experience been playing a wolf-like race?
It's been fun. It's been a lot different from anything I've ever really done. 'Cause it's trying not only to play a different character, like everybody in LARP does, but trying to play a race that's so different from what you usually see in fantasy and role playing, anything like that. So humans obviously, and then everybody knows how an elf is supposed to act. Everybody knows how a dwarf is supposed to act, an orc, all that stuff. You see them, So playing something like this has been really interesting, because it's not something that I really had something some road experience going into that I could draw on to figure out how the character in the race would act. So it was really cool.
You go to the dog park and get some inspiration.
There's a book series that I really really love by Jim Butcher. He wrote the Dresden Files, is probably his most famous, but the series is Codex Alera. It's a high fantasy. I don't know if it's actually true or not, but I heard once that the idea for the story came from somebody betting him that he couldn't come up with a compelling story that mixed Pokemon with the Lost Roman Legion, and it works. But there's a race in it called the Canim that's these 9 foot tall wolf warrior people. That's kind of where the inspiration came from.
So your class, I guess, what would be the class that you're playing as?
If I was to put it into D&D terms, probably the closest thing would be Paladin, I suppose. And one thing that's kind of cool about Vanguard is that it's a classless system, so we don't have you don't have a fighter role, a paladin role, a cleric role. You basically just build what you want, so you're not limited into a specific line of work. So you can have, like you're talking about earlier, that guy that's the gunslinger that throws fireballs and all that.
Yeah, is that the only chapter of Vanguard? Is there another chapter available anywhere else, or?
No, it's the only one. I don't know of any plans to take it and do any kind of like Dystopia Rising or anything like that. But no, the Hickory chapter is the only one currently. But we're always, I think the furthest we've got somebody coming from on a semi-regular basis is Ohio. I want to say, but we've got people coming from all over, from a few states over, South Carolina, Tennessee, North Carolina, Ohio, apparently Virginia. It's a really great group. So we always want new people to check it out.
Right on. Question from Jacqueline. What is your favorite thing about Vanguard, and why do you think new players should check it out?
Well, I mean, for sure, the community, the group is amazing. It's best, some of the best group of friends that I've had, ever. And it's one of those that there's really not a whole lot of, like there's in-game stuff and everything, but out of game, everybody's friends, everybody's family. It's just a great group of people. And, kind of, I guess, why new players should check it out would be, for something that may not be exactly the same thing they've seen before. And check out the community, check out the group of people that's kind of called at home, because it's a really awesome collection of people.
Nice. Devin again. What's your favorite aspect of playing your character?
Oh,
Showstopper.
Like it's hard to pick a favorite, like just to kind of distill to one thing. I guess when it comes down to it, my favorite thing about the character, or playing the character, go with that, is the costuming. Learning how to put all this together. My wife has helped me a ton with kind of coming up with ideas and figuring out how to do things, but just seeing everything progress from like the original version of the costume was straight garbage. it was not very good, but seeing it progress from that to something that I'm really proud of has been really awesome. And just getting, getting to work on that and learn how to do more with those things and kind of translating that into, other things that I want to do in the future. It's just been a really, really neat opportunity.
Did you enter any convention cosplay shows or anything like that with it, or?
I won one Halloween costume contest, but other than that, nothing else.
Did you win it?
No, I came in second to somebody in a Winnie Sanderson costume. It was a really good Winnie Sanderson costume, though.
Here you go from Quincy, our very own moderator. Have you ever helped anyone to craft anything for LARP?
I've given a couple people some advice on, especially when I was first coming up with how to do the legs, the digigrade style, so they look more or less like animal legs. That was tough to figure out how to do so it still had mobility. So I found a couple of tutorials that showed how to do it for cosplay, and they looked awesome. But they relied on stilts or a lot of heavy padding, and it just would have ruined the ability to move around. And if we're running around the mountains, you can't really do that. So when I kind of figured out how to do it with minimal padding and more just in shaping the material and everything, I've helped one or a couple people that do the satyrs. There's another race in the game. There's a satyr race that has those kind of pants. Helped out with a few people on how to do those, and they've come up with some really fantastic results. I've got some pictures I can show, later, now, whenever.
Yeah. So it's kind of, whenever I go to a Halloween costume, it's like, yeah, can I get some fuzzy pants? And they just kind of look at you funny, so. Yeah, that's great. Jeremiah, what is your favorite role-play experience at game?
Oh, that's interesting. That's a tough one. There's so many different ones to choose from. I think I'm probably going to have to go with something that's a little more recent, just because it's a little, I guess, more fresh in my mind. But Josh Hembry, one of the guys that goes to the game, played a character called Atwood, who was killed. He was part of the same kind of paladin-style group that I was in, and his character died in a fight with with a necromancer, and that whole thing was, rough because it was role played really, really well. It was an awesome, very sad, very good thing. But then later on, maybe a couple events later, we end up in kind of this spirit realm or something like that, and we meet him again and get to do the goodbye, and that was just a mind blowing experience. Like role playing your own afterlife, or not him, I guess, but he did a fantastic job. It was really gut wrenching, but just it was awesome. A lot of great feelings there.
Nick, when it comes to heavy combat scenarios, what advice would you share with other folks to play advanced costume races in LARP?
Figure out how, especially with heavy combat, figure out how any kind of, if you're in a costume that's going to have heavy costume requirements, you're going to have certain limitations. For me, it's largely in vision. I can't see very well down at all, and I get to about here and can't see anything to the periphery anymore. So kind of figuring out where the limitations are and then adjusting your play style, your fighting style to compensate for those. So like what I try to do, and as I get tired, it doesn't always happen. But what I try to do is I fight with a sword and shield, and I try to just make keep the shield out in front to keep people back so they don't get into my blind spot below like the bridge of my nose, and just kind of try to move around a lot so that people aren't getting in my blind spots on either side or behind me. So it really kind of comes down to just understanding that there are limitations, accepting that there are going to be limitations, and figuring out how to adjust to compensate for those limitations. And realizing, I suppose, that the reason for playing a high costume race like that is more than just getting to fight in it. So there are going to be issues with fighting. You can still fight effectively, obviously, but don't get discouraged if maybe you're not the most fantastic fighter while in costume.
Yes, what you lose in combat, you make up in flavor and RP, and everybody wants to hang out with you and pull on your tail. Yeah. All right, Glenn. What is something you've learned from making your costume that you've never expected?
God, what isn't there? I've learned way too much about glue, what types of glue work, which barge, by the way, is the best that I've found for anything. I was really surprised by just how lousy some of the stuff I was trying to use was. It just didn't hold up at all. Let's see. What are some things that I've learned that I never expected to learn? How to use a hair trimmer to trim and shape fake fur. That's something I never really expected. Like I said before, I didn't know how to sew when I started this. I didn't know how to work with, I didn't really know how to work with leather, with resin materials, two-part epoxies. I really got in over my head pretty heavily. And I'm glad I stuck with it because I'm happy with where what I've learned. But I guess the easiest answer to that question is everything.
Yeah, so you're best friends with the glue gun now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the trimmer, that's a new one too. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Josh, is there anything you would want to do to improve your character, either costuming or actions in the LARP?
Let's see. I think, I've been so focused on getting the body to look right that I really haven't. That's one thing I was kind of noticing as I was looking back at some old pictures, outside of a couple of pieces, I made a baldric for my sword and, a couple of pouches here and there. But outside of that, I really never did anything with garb. And now that I've got the body roughly where I like it, or at least know how to, do the things I need to do with it, I'd like to go back and start to really focus more on the garb for it. So it helps to really bring the character to life because, you don't walk around every day wearing the same exact clothes.
I take it as your character progresses, the garb progresses with it.
Typically, yeah. Yeah.
All right. Jeremiah, how did you find Vanguard?
Well, Chip Rose, the game runner, is a good friend of mine. So when he was starting the game, I think we had either 4 or 5 years ago, we had the kind of dry run thing. I was involved with that as my first experience LARPing, actually. And since then, I've just been fascinated with it. And kept with Vanguard just because it's a great community, like I've said, and it's people I know. I kind of like to maybe visit some others every once in a while, or maybe someday. But for right now, it's my LARP home. So
Right. You never forget your first there. Yeah. Okay, so Josh, what is the biggest tip you would give to a new player at Vanguard?
um,
It sounds like insider information right over here. So pay attention to this. You're going to know how to cheat the system.
The biggest tip to give a new player at Vanguard. I mean, really, just come and be ready to have fun. I know it sounds stupid, but there are people that are going to help you. The people that are going to talk you through things, help you out with equipment, help you out with costuming if you don't have stuff like that. If you don't have buffers, people will loan you whatever. So basically, the only real advice I'd have to give a new player is just come and be ready to have a good time. And you don't have to have everything 100% ready going in. Just some people I think come and are intimidated by people that have been there for a long time, or maybe it's the first time trying a LARP, and they're get that kind of I like that anxious, kind of embarrassed feeling, like, oh, I'm gonna go out and do this nerdy thing. What the crap? So, no, I think my biggest thing would be just leave that behind and just come and be ready to have a good time, and don't I don't know.
Yeah, because I take it like from my own personal experience. Pretty much the friends you make at game, like your first games, you keep these friends forever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like real friendships get formed there.
Oh yeah.
Just scrolling through to see if there's any more questions because I gotta reload every time. I don't believe so.
Oh, I see one that just popped in.
All right. If you had to estimate, how much money would you guess your costume has cost you, including repairs and upkeep? Now, we have to warn your wife. Please turn off the video at this point.
Does that include armor? If it includes armor, then oh god. Oh yeah. Thanks, Nick. Fantastic. Honestly, it's really hard to say because it's been over like 4 years. So I haven't really kept a tally of things, but the head base itself was $100, which is pretty standard. Probably got at least as much in fake fur, if not more. Let's see. I've made 3 different versions of the feet, 2 versions of the legs, at least 3 versions of the hands, the gloves. I'm trying to make a tally. We're probably talking at least like $1,500, maybe more. I don't know. Something insane and ridiculous, and but don't. That's including a lot of a lot of trial and error stuff that I might have tried something and just not liked it and just got rid of it. But it's also spread out over 4 years. So I don't think that's too terrible.
Yeah, so over 4 years, it's like what, $20 a month? You're good.
Yeah, roughly. Plus or minus,
It's just a minor hobby. It's just a minor hobby.
Yeah, that's one thing. Like doing something with this kind of costuming is not typically going to be inexpensive. So but you can get around a lot of that with just trying to make a lot of the pieces yourself. Not that there's a lot of opportunity to go out and have somebody else do it. I don't really know who would do anything like that. But yeah. Don't take. I wouldn't want anybody to take that as a discouragement, because it's it's money that I think I'd rather like spend the money on this, something that I can work with and progress and have a product that I'm proud of, than burning it on the new video game. You know, that's just me.
Yeah. Well, you go to game and the experience is just uncomparable to pretty much anything else. And you look fantastic while you're doing it. Yeah. So.
Thanks.
Jeremiah again. How did you find yourself a part of the guild you're with at Vanguard?
Well, that's a little bit of a long story, so I'm trying to figure out a way to make that not super long. Basically, my character's name is Kadir, and I've always kind of wanted to have, or to kind of envision him as, I don't know, a kind of a champion style thing, and it just fit. The guild is, it's called the Source Guard, and it's a VOW run kind of group, very very paladin kind of thing, maybe without some of the overt religious tones, but it's vows of protection, vows of poverty, that sort of thing. And it fit with the way I wanted to run the character, and I had some of the people that I had been in a group with before that started this one, and just kind of followed them over, I guess. Yeah, not super interesting without context.
All right. So we got a few questions. Weather's rolling in. Okay. William, what is your favorite material to work with?
Oh, let's see. I'm trying to figure that one out. I mean, the material I work with the most is probably the fur, but it can be a real pain in the butt to try to sew, and then it gets everywhere when you have to trim it. I guess maybe foam. I use upholstery foam. Just get it from like Joann's or whatever, but you can carve it into whatever, and it's pretty forgiving as far as if you make a mistake, you can usually just either make a few cuts to bring it back to the right shape, or just get another little piece. But I guess I get that one maybe.
All right, Seth. Josh here wants to know, would you say that your LARP race is underpowered, overpowered, balanced compared to the other races at Vanguard?
I might have to take the fifth on that one. No,
I gotta attend to find out.
No, I think it's. I think the race is balanced against other races. I think the costuming element, the limitations that are involved with the costuming and the expenses involved in the costuming might not be as balanced. But again, that's not really the point of wearing that type of costuming. It's more about the the role play side of things, and that I mean, it's not all just the combat.
Right. This kind of leads into the next question from Troy. Are all the races at Vanguard as costuming intense as yours? And are there options for people that don't want to commit as much?
Yeah, for sure. There's plenty of different options to go with. That's one thing I like about the fact that it's the Arcanapunk setting. You can do basically whatever from Goodwill. A lot of people have some really killer costumes from things they found at thrift stores and modified. You have kind of that steampunk look. But yeah, there's humans, there's elves, there's all kinds of different races that are available. If people don't want to do as extreme kind of stuff. But there's definitely ways to still look good while doing it without breaking the bank or going to such extent. But there's, I think, probably the most costuming intensive group or races there. The Varn, which is the wolf race. There's the Kandar, which is a feline race. The Satyr, which, I think pretty much everybody probably knows what satyrs are. And then there's a new race that there aren't that many players yet, but it's a really cool race. It's automatons, kind of leaning into that steampunk influence. Nice. So they've got, it's really cool.
I'm kind of picturing like Full Metal Alchemist right now.
Yeah, pretty much, actually. Yeah. That's also a good way to kind of describe that's actually a really fantastic way to describe the world of Vanguard's Full Metal Alchemist. Replace the alchemy with magic, and you got it.
All right, Devin wants to know, are you looking into using 3D printing in other parts of your costuming?
Not entirely at the moment. I think it'd be cool to do claws for the hands and the feet. But it's something that, excuse me, if I ever get the time or the energy to put to it, I wouldn't mind trying to get a small 3D printer and trying some of that stuff. But at this point, I don't have the resources for that. But at this point, not really. But it's definitely something that I'm open to, because I think 3D printing is a really interesting development, especially for things like LARP. Is being able to create whatever is just a really neat development in technology. And I think it's really going to help bring a lot of these game worlds to life. And that's really what we're here for. That's why we wear the costumes and everything, is to try to bring these worlds to life and give the imaginations a hand.
Seth, where did you get that mask printed?
It's an online group called Fuzzbutt. They do a lot of animal masks and things. Got a huge library of different species and variations and all that. It's really cool.
Okay, cool. How much crafting do you do between games?
A lot. Each game, there's usually some kind of repair that needs to be done. I haven't gotten to it yet, but I got an ear that's half attached, so I've gotta fix that. The game before last, I had these two lower teeth break off. It got really cold, and it took a shot to the jaw, and it just snapped them. So I used a 2-part epoxy clay and fashion new teeth for that. But there's a fair bit of upkeep to be done.
All right, Dominique, if you weren't playing your race at Vanguard, is there any other race you would love to try playing?
Probably Satyr or Automaton. If I could figure out I'll have to show the picture, but one of our players, Foos, made this really, really awesome mechanical clockwork arm. And if I could figure out how to do that with they used EVA foam and magic to make this thing. But if I could figure out how to do that kind of thing, I think I'd love to play an Automaton.
So you're going to go from one heavy costume race to another?
That's the fun part, right?
Right. All right, Josh. How does the in-play crafting work at Vanguard? And does your character do any crafts?
The standby is kind of the enchanting, potion making, alchemy crafts that are pretty standby. But then they also have the power source for kind of everything within the game's rules is called just source. So there's a craft devoted to that, working with that, called source engineering. There's clockworking, there's lock making and things like that. And people are usually encouraged to bring in, not to say it's 100%, required. People are kind of encouraged to bring in some kind of phys rep to show, how that's working. But as far as my guy's not really a crafting character. I've got a little swords engineering, but not really a focus.
All right, so this next one's from Nick. Melted my heart. Hypothetically, let's pretend you're a parent or you're a father. Which, all right.
Yep. Hypothetically, yes.
Hypothetically. Would you be willing to dress up your baby as a wolf pup and bring him to Vanguard as your character's son? Does your game allow for people of all age groups to play?
In a couple of years, probably will. Yeah. There's a couple of little ones that come in. There's this really adorable little fairy, and unfortunately, I can't think of her name at the moment. But she's probably like 5 or 6. I'm not sure exactly how old she is, but we've taken a call her to the murder fairy. But she has she comes with her parent and has a really good time with it, and everybody has a good time with her. It's pretty age friendly as far as that goes, as long as you have a parent or guardian. Yeah,
all right, everybody's screaming murder fairy.
Yeah.
All right, so I know on the 3D printing part, do you at the public library? Are you allowed to 3D print? Because here in Ontario, they have pretty much 3D printers at every public library. So before we used to hang out in the library as your nerd sanctuary, and now they've given us a reason to return to print.
That's awesome. I haven't even thought of checking to see if there are 3D printers at the library. Maybe. That's definitely something I'll have to look into. I'm not certain. If there are, though, that would be awesome, and I'll have to learn how to use Blender so I can make things.
All right, so from Troy, we got another question. I think you've mentioned this, but how is the community at Vanguard, and would you elaborate on what your favorite parts of the community? Also, what would you say to the others about building a good community?
Yeah, we have talked about that some. I think my biggest thing is people go to a LARP to have fun. It's not, they don't go there for the politics, they don't go there for the drama, they don't go for their well, I guess maybe some people do, but most people go to have fun. And I think the biggest thing I'd say about the community of Vanguard is everybody knows that people are there to have fun, and things that aren't kind of servicing that are, they're there, but they're not the focus. And that's one thing I'd say to somebody trying to build a good community in a game, in a LARP, is just realize that everybody's there to have fun, and if you're doing something that's not kind of achieving that goal, then you're not doing it right.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Yeah. I don't think we got any more.
And that's I will add one thing to that, and that's the major reason why I wear the costume that I do. Why I think a lot of people that wear the heavy costuming stuff is for themselves, so they can have fun with it, and absolutely, but also to help the enjoyment of the other people, because it's you don't walk around the streets and see a guy in a wolf costume, or a person in a satyr costume, or an automaton, or a Kandar, any of that. And so it's just wanting to make sure that everybody has a good time.
Well, I can tell you that pumping fuel into your car completely done up as an orc really stops traffic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so of course, Jeremiah is, where is the game located again?
Oh yeah, Lenore, North Carolina. You can you can find the I think you've linked the page for Vanguard, but if you go to the Vanguard, it's Vanguard and NC LARP is the name of the Facebook group. You can find all the information there.
Right. Also on larpnews.org, there's a map, and it's on that map as well, so you can just kind of find the local games near you. So that's on there as well.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Devin again.
Yeah. Yeah.
If money was no object, could you describe your perfect costume, and what upgrades would you make?
Oh, money was no object. I saw somebody, I forget what platform it's on, but it's online. Somebody made this really awesome, like lion head with, like TV screens in the eyes that had like night vision and all this other stuff is teched out to the nines. Had, I think it was some kind of articulation on the eyes. It was insane. If I had the skill and the money, that would be awesome. But
yeah, so you buy the perk in game that you can see at night, and then you could actually see at night.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, William. You have a very impressive costume. What is the best costume you've ever seen someone else play in game or playing in?
The most impressive costume. There are a ton of really impressive costumes. It's it's hard to pick out one because if I do, then I'm like leaving out a bunch of other people. So that's tough.
Oh yeah, you're gonna get ganked.
You know what? I think this is a good opportunity. I've got those pictures of other people's gear. Maybe I could show a few of those.
Okay.
This is Elizabeth. She's in a satyr costume. I think this is at a Ren fair. So it wasn't actually at the game, but it's something she's worn to the game. But I love the leather work on her breastplate and on her shoulder piece there, and integrated. I don't know if you can see it, but she's got contacts for her eyes. It's just really, really awesome.
Yeah, it's a fantastic piece.
Yeah.
All together.
Yeah. Oh, it'll let me. There we go. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, there's several people that play satyrs at the LARP, and they are all amazing. There's Katrina on the left and Jordan on the right. Katrina actually made that shield, which is amazing. Like that's homemade out of EVA foam and magic. And that's just amazing to me. I can't imagine that. But let's see. Oh, there we go. This is Nick and Jacqueline. The kind of the steampunk kind of swashbuckler, gunslinger kind of look. So I mean, this is like a good example of one that doesn't take a huge amount of like prosthetics or things like that. It's all in the garb, and it just looks amazing. And Jacqueline, you can't see her ears, but she plays an elf, and she always has like the fanciest of clothes. It's always really good. The more satyrs, they get the rage part down. They got like the barbarian thing going on with the satyrs, and it's awesome. Kind of like the berserkers. Some more of that. This is actually a race that hasn't shown up in the game yet. That may, I don't know, but kind of an experiment on a dryad. That's Nick again. Just working the face paint. It's a ranger. Oh, here's the arm.
That looks really nice.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, you can see that, and this is I want to say this is EVA foam. I could entirely be wrong, but it's just fantastic. Foos did a really, really, really awesome job, and it's all homemade. That's one thing I really love about LARP in general is the imagination, what people come up with to bring their characters to life. And that's one thing that's really cool too. The character Thane had his arm. Yeah, and like
That is so cool.
yeah, he lost his arm, Thane, in the game. So that Foos making this arm was the way they explained how the character got his arm back. There's an automaton. That's Nick again. Nick's one of the he plays he's a big plot influence there, so he plays a lot of different characters. So he comes up with a lot of different makeups and things that are really awesome. This is a cool one. This is Josh Hembry playing the incarnation of Wrath. So it was one of the big bads, and it was just creepy. There's the arm. There's Thane. Yep. Is. Yep. That's another video of the arm. But so just some really awesome. Everybody that plays some really awesome gear, and it's just cool to highlight all that.
That must have been some time to put that arm together.
I can't even imagine. But yeah, I think that's all of them. I think. Yeah just the quick ones I pulled off.
We have a few steampunk LARPs that reached out to us before.
Mm-hmm.
This stuff is just like gold. If they saw this,
I'm thrilled to be able to kind of highlight those and there's a lot that I left out. Like if I didn't show a picture of you, I'm sorry. I just don't have all the time. But there's so many awesome, unique costumes that go in there, and it's really, really cool to see what people come up with.
There's so much love in the thread for you now. I think the last question that hasn't got answered would be the how does religion work with Vanguard? Being a holy fighter, do you take oaths of a particular god? If so, does it grant you any abilities, both RP and combat wise?
Yeah, and that's one thing that's kind of interesting to play. The group. So the kind of the story is set in the Imperial Nation. It's largely human run, and it's a monotheistic nation that the god is called the Creator. And the group that I'm in, being a little bit on the Paladin side, does have kind of an ingrained respect for the Creator, but it's not necessarily a worship kind of thing. So it's not like, oh, you have to believe in this. The Varn, the race that I play, have their own religious belief, and I don't want to get super into it, but it's cool to see how people interpret all those different things.
Oh.
Yeah, see, Josh, just good luck explaining that.
Yeah. Hashtag paganism.
I see hashtag gank. Dude, don't do that.
Right on. Yeah. Is there anything else you want to share?
I think I've got everything. Yeah. Just if anybody's out there curious about Vanguard or anything we do, hit us up. If anybody's curious about the different costumes or how to put together a kit, I I'm certainly, fine with anybody want to get in touch with me if you want to have a conversation about different things. I won't guarantee I'll be able to, help with everything, but I'm more than happy to give any help I can. No, Jeremiah. No. But yeah, I think
I think we got a legitimate question from Troy here. Is Vanguard rule system more geared to combat or roleplay?
well, the rule system is more geared towards combat, but that's going to be any rule system really. There's anytime you have anything like that, I feel like it's very rare for a rule system to be more non-combat, but the game itself is not necessarily combat exclusive. There's a lot of really great role play that goes down. There's a couple people that play more or less non-combat roles within the game. So it's not a combat exclusive. It probably does skew more towards combat in the rules themselves, just because there's more to govern there than governing RP. Is there a bedtime? No, there's not.
No, it's just all the way through the night, yeah?
It's not uncommon to have stuff going on at 3, 4 in the morning, later, earlier, depending on how you look at it.
At 3 o'clock in the morning, is there a thing called stupid o'clock?
Oh, that is a thing, yeah. There's also a thing of, I'm just going to go, and if you want to try to raid the cabin, okay, fine. But, yeah, I think I probably need to start thinking about wrapping up, though.
All right.
Yeah.
Great. Sorry if we didn't get to your questions. I think we got most of them. I've been trying to switch back and forth between the questions and that.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So thanks, Seth, for joining us today on LARP News. Unfortunately, had so many technical difficulties. You can only see you, but I'm all done up in costume too. Just on this end, it was just my voice. Yeah. So hopefully next time it'll be nicer. And yeah, if Vanguard wasn't so far away, I'd definitely attend. That's for sure. But yeah, it's a bit of a drive from Ontario there.
Yeah, just a little bit. Well, if you ever find your way down, if you ever find yourself in North Carolina for an event, happy to have you.